What's up guys, in today's video we will uncover the secret reasons why governments decided to lock our favorite games away. From the arenas of Mortal Kombat to innocent island games, the truth will shock you. Let's jump right into the list. And our list starts with Mortal Kombat 11. Looking closely at this case, we see two different reasons for a ban. In Ukraine, the issue was strictly about history and the law. The game had a special Soviet outfit. For the local leaders, this broke strict rules against all the political symbols. On the other hand, in Japan, the ban was all about the visuals. The local game board refused to approve the title. They decided that pulling out bones and showing inside body parts was just too far, even for the fighting game. This shows how local rules can stop a major release for totally different reasons, depending on the culture of the country. When looking at this case, we see a real problem for the game makers. In many games, you can just fix the issue by cutting out the parts that break the rules, but this game is different. The romance and the dark themes are built right into the main plot. Sony knew that removing these scenes would ruin the whole story, so they made a clear business choice. Instead of releasing a game with missing pieces, they decided to not sell it in these countries at all. The public record shows a massive wave of fear around this release. The game forced users to defeat enemies in very cruel ways. Players had to use items like plastic bags, broken glass, and large knives. On top of that, a hidden director was cheering for the player the whole time. This dark setup scared state leaders and the press so much that they passed strict laws blocking the game. It stands as a clear case of what happens when a creator pushes a product way past what normal folks can handle. Looking into the story, we see how real-world fights changed the game market. The Russian state blocked the web pages of the game studio. This happened because the creators were open about collecting money for their country's military. Because of this, the game became a big legal risk for buyers in Russia. If a person pays for the game, the police might see it as sending money to the enemy side. It is a clear example of politics blocking a major game release. What happened here shows how one small mistake can bring down a whole project. The makers from Taiwan forgot to take out a very small item in the final game. It had a secret message calling the Chinese leader Winnie the Pooh. This is a known joke, but it is strictly against the law in China. When local gamers saw this, it sparked a huge anger online. The state acted fast, taking away the rights to sell the game. The pushback was so strong that the creators had to pull the game off Steam all over the world for many months. The leaders in India started a huge sweep. They were blocking many phone apps that had links to China. The main fear was spies and personal data going to servers in Beijing. Since the big Chinese firm Tencent was running PUBG Mobile, the game became the biggest target in this tech war. It is a clear sign of how world politics can quickly force a top game out of the market. The court records show a deep fear from local experts about what bully was teaching. Judges and school leaders thought the game was direct guide for bad behavior. In the virtual world, you are fighting weak kids, stopping classes, and shooting at teachers. The state worried this would start a real wave of attacks in local schools. Because of this risk, they kept a strict block on the game for 8 whole years. It only returned when new leaders took a softer stance on virtual action. Looking at the Diamond Casino update, the main issue is how the money works. The game makers added a big casino where players could buy chips with game money. The catch is, players could buy that game money with real cash. For leaders in dozens of countries, this looked exactly like an illegal casino. They acted fast to stop it. Because of this, the creators had to lock the doors of the in-game casino for players living in those areas. And those areas include over 50 countries like Greece, South Korea, United Arab Emirates, and so on. The story behind this ban is quite intense. The game is full of wild and dark choices. Players can do awful things, like using cats to quiet their guns, setting people on fire, or peeing on them. The game makers meant for this to be a dark joke about American life, but the rule makers in New Zealand did not laugh at all. They saw the game as a real danger to society. The law they passed is so strict that just owning a game disc today can still get you a massive fine or even land you in prison. Looking at the facts, the main issue here is control. The leaders in Turkey felt the platform was just too wild. With millions of kids playing every day, it was hard to watch what was happening in every game. In some worlds made by players, people started putting in casino games and adult parties. For the rule makers, this was the final straw. They decided they had to step in and shut it down to protect the young users. A review of the facts reveals a very strange clash between the law and the media. For a long time, the German state saw video games as just toys for kids, not as real art. To sell the game there, the makers had to build a heavily cut version that ended up looking almost funny. They were changing the band symbols into basic triangles. They started calling the enemy army just the regime. They even took the famous mustache of Adolf Hitler and were just calling him the Chancellor. This story is a perfect example of how deep state rules can go when shaping the final release of a project. The core of this ban in United Arab Emirates is all about protecting a public brand. The Dark War story takes place in Dubai. In the game, a giant sandstorm wrecks the whole city. It becomes a wild place full of crime and dead bodies. The leaders there spend huge amounts of cash to make their city look like a perfect and safe spot. They felt this rough vision was a direct insult. To keep their good name intact, they stopped the game from even entering their stores. The events here show how a simple game can become a powerful tool. When people in Hong Kong had to stay inside, they could not protest in the real streets, so they brought their cause into a peaceful game. Users started making their own in-game art. They drew signs against the state and put up pictures of leaders. Soon they were holding huge virtual protests. Photos of these islands were spreading fast on social media. The state did not like this at all. They took fast actions, wiping the game from every store and the market in the country. It's fascinating how different cultures draw the line when it comes to digital entertainment. Whether it's for political, social, or moral reasons, these bans remind us that gaming is never truly isolated from the real world. But what you think? Is censorship in games ever justified, or should art always remain untouched? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In our next video, we'll be breaking down the biggest gaming news of the week, so if you don't want to miss that, make sure to subscribe to GGByte and hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.